Everyone who goes through the high school experience is impacted by it in a significant yet unique manner. People grow, learn, change as they move from ninth grade to 12th grade. I'm an 11th grader, and in 11th grade, I'm meant to have the most challenging year of high school. Will I face those same challenges on Zoom? Will ninth graders be able to adapt to high school in a remote learning environment? Will sophomore years enjoy their carefree experience? And will seniors be able to have their iconic senior year, which includes prom and graduation? Welcome to COVID Chats with Raghav Khosla, High School Edition. The 2020-21 school year is going to be different for everyone around the world. And in an effort to understand how similar and unique their experience is going to be, I interviewed 4 different kids from 4 different countries to see how they'll be returning to school. And for the first time on this channel, I will be providing my personal perspective on this situation and how I'll be returning to school and what I feel about it. So without further ado, let's get right into the first interview of COVID Chats with Raghav Khosla, High School Edition.
Our school has decided to actually go to campus, and we open on the 3rd of August, and we technically have an open house on the 2nd of August. So the first time students will be able to go to campus is the 2nd of August, and teachers are already on campus to prepare. Yeah, I am, especially because every student is unique, and not everybody chooses to interpret rules the same way. Some people might choose to do something at a time that others won't, and that could put others at risk, which is a big thing that I'm nervous about, is that if someone else does something that is irresponsible, that will affect all of us because of how contagious this virus is. So I, of course, with everything, see pros and cons in both. One main thing I have that I see for everything during this coronavirus time is that if you have to go through severe precautions in order to do something, what's the point in doing it that way at all? Especially when we have the technology to do it remotely. But since I am a rising junior, and the courses that I'm taking next year, and I'm sure many of my peers who are rising juniors are also taking, are much higher and much more difficult level than anything we've been used to in the past. And remote learning, while we have gotten used to it slightly more, is still a challenge and might not be the best way for us to educate ourselves, and might put us at a little disadvantage towards people who are actually going to school and physically interacting with their teachers. Of course, I think we all have to be way more precautious about contact. When you usually go to school, you're out there high-fiving, handshaking with all your friends and your peers. That will obviously be to a minimum. Also, I have to try to wash and sanitize my hands much more often, which is much drastic increase than what I would normally do is not for a virus. But so those are the main changes. Also, the whole mentality of being more precautious. Well, if I do that, then I might be able to have a little more fun, but I might be putting myself and others at risk. And balancing enjoying yourself, educating yourself, and staying safe at the same time, what you need to keep in mind. One thing I feel we need to all learn, most of us, especially if you're watching this video, is that we're all very privileged. We're lucky to have the choice of going to online school because we have the technology and the resources to do so. We need to realize and learn that there are some children out there who they don't have a choice now because of governmental restrictions. There's nothing they can do, and without the technology, they cannot experience their education. To try to combat that, and especially in my home country of India, I started a fundraiser that I would really appreciate if all of you can check it out. We're trying to give these kids who would normally have access to as good quality education, and actually at this moment any education at all, we'll try to provide them with technological infrastructure like we have in order to their help increase the quality of their learning. We're currently halfway towards our goal, and if you could help us in any way possible, that would be great. And you'd be affecting these kids' educations and their lives completely.
As of right now, they're planning on going to. We're planning on going to school, but it's going to be seniors and sophomores one day, and juniors and freshmen the other day.
Okay.
Honestly, I'd rather go to school just because it's so difficult. Like, even if you try, like, even if you are motivated, like, obviously it's difficult to learn online. And even just by being able to, like, see a teacher, I feel like it would be so much easier for me to, like, learn and pay attention. And obviously, like, you've seen, like, everyone, like, they're like, oh, like, I've lost so much motivation because, it's like online learning and it's so hard for me to, like, pay attention in class when, like, we have all these distractions. So, yeah. Yeah, just like, first of all, like, you can make personal connections with not just the teacher, but also like your classmates. And obviously, like, if you're on Zoom, like, you're not gonna like go out of your way to talk to a kid, unless you know them, obviously. But most of the time, if you don't know the person, like, that's why I feel like if you're new, it must be like so hard because, first of all, like, I don't even know if you can come into the Philippines right now. I don't know if they've opened the borders yet, but even if they did, like, let's say like we don't have school, if we stay in quarantine, imagine how hard it is for them to make friends. So, like, I don't know, I feel like there's just so much there's a lot more benefit than there are like negatives if we go physical. Like, of course, like, you have to social distance, but that's like our responsibility, and like that's going to be on us if we get sick. So, yeah.
Yes.
Honestly, I miss like so much about it. Like, first of all, like, being able to like be with your friends, hang out, and like not worry about like whether or not like I have to continuously like make sure that they're like not infected and stuff. And not just like them, but also teachers, because a lot of the teachers at ISM, like, the moment they figured out that we were going into quarantine, they straight up just left the country. So like half the teachers were already gone. So like, and some are in the US, so like some might have, and then also, like, I don't know, the one part I miss is like dance. It's so hard. Like, I think also with PE in general, but oh my god, like, dance is so hard online. And because it's like, I guess it's like one of the easiest things because you can do it alone. Like, it's not like it's impossible. It's just that if you're in a group dance, and then obviously it's going to be harder, you're gonna do like solos and stuff more than you are like group dances and stuff. And like, and also like our performances, like, that's all gonna get canceled. IASIS, which is like our sports competition, that's all gonna get canceled. Yeah, I mean, there's like an online competition and stuff, but obviously it's not the same. I think the biggest thing is to appreciate every little thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've seen like a lot of videos too, where they're like, this year's been like so good, but it was so short, and I just miss everything. And like, we obviously took everything for granted. Like, school was like, oh, like, people used to say like, oh, I hate school so much, but now people are actually saying like, I want to go back to school. So that, and also the fact that, like, obviously, like, maintaining motivation is hard, right? Like, especially like online. But using this opportunity, in my opinion, to like our fullest. So like for you, like, you're doing this, and like taking courses, or like, it doesn't really matter like what you do with the time, but like, to me, like, if I'm being granted this time, I want to make use of it, because like, if you're not going to do anything, then what's the point,
Thank you for being here today, Mark. So let's get started. Will you be going to school back to school this semester, or
I will be.
you will be?
Yeah,
Alright.
I will be.
So,
To be honest, I'm excited socially, but I'm a bit nervous at the same time.
mhm.
In my boarding house, I'm excited because we've got 3 new boys joining, so that should be good and change up the dynamic a bit. But also just a bit on edge because we don't really know how it's going to be working at this point. That's a good question. To be honest, I think I'd rather go back to school with masks and social distancing, just because, for me personally, just because online school really wasn't my forte. Um, I struggled to learn. I feel like I almost forgot more than I actually ended up learning, which was quite frustrating.
Yeah.
So definitely go back, even if you're talking to people through masks and from 2 meters away. I'd still much prefer that.
Mhm.
I think something a lot of me and my friends have talked about is we just feel really exhausted from online learning. So my school's been pretty relaxed about it. We've only had 1 or 2 lessons a day when we did have school. And even after just 2 hours of like online lessons and conference calling and stuff, you just feel absolutely exhausted. So I think we'll have a lot more energy. And then as well as that, I think just mentally we'll feel a lot better, like peace of mind, a lot clearer. Um, yeah, a lot of my friends have said like they just can't wait to go back to school just to get out of their homes, like just see other faces. I miss the sport the most because just like not just for being social, but you just get outside and playing with other people. I don't know, just yeah, I've been playing golf, a lot of golf, and it's just by yourself or maybe with 1 or 2 other people. But I'd really love to get back to playing rugby or hockey or a big team sport would be really nice, especially if we could play competitively. I think I've learned to be more independent because just having to sort of do things like the teacher doesn't always feed you everything when you're online. You sort of have to end up doing a lot more research behind, like outside of the lesson at least, which is something I've never really had to do properly until revision stages. So often it's quite hard to grasp the concept of like ideas. Like I take physics and math as well, and it's quite difficult to understand over conference calls when there's like lag or there's other people talking or I don't know, just different things going on with dog, WhatsApp, like just anything. And often it's just end up forgetting or not remembering stuff they said. So you have to do your own research. And yeah, on YouTube especially has been helping me a lot. Just like Khan Academy and those types of things.
For my school, it's a combination of both. Basically, our school year starts in September, and they're inviting back 9th and 12th graders to start. And we have an on-campus quarantine, and then they're going to see whether they can de-densify the campus. Then they'll invite 10th and 11th grade students and day students back onto campus. So we don't know what's happening, and
Yeah.
that's just how it is. I think the main part, the motivation wasn't very difficult, which I think a lot of people were worried about. It's just the simple fact that, especially because my school was asynchronous and we had passed boil grades last term, so there wasn't that much of like a face-to-face interaction with anybody. And I think trying to learn solely off of PDFs and videos probably wasn't as immersive as you probably would get on campus or just like in a classroom. I would prefer to go to school with social distancing measures just because I think as long as people are mindful of what they're doing, it still beats learning by yourself, isolated in some, like on a computer. Just like the physical, you can go up to a whiteboard to answer a question or, give a speech that is not over Zoom is really appealing at this point. I mean, again, probably my friends, obviously, and especially because I do go to a boarding school, that dorm life concept was really a big part of how I studied. You know, going to the library at 9 p.m., walking back to dorms, like, and weekends, just like utilizing them and going off campus for extracurriculars. That kind of stuff would be things that I would really miss. I think what I have learned just as a student is how much more there is out there, because COVID kind of does have a slight claustrophobia attached to it, where it's you feel constrained, you feel like you can't do things, and because of that, you're always looking for things to do, but what can you do sitting in your house? So as a student, I've learned there's more to life than school. You know, there's more than just studying, and there's different ways to study, there's different ways to utilize your time, and just like being shocked out of that schedule, I think, was big learning for me about what I'm capable of as a student.
So I won't be going back to school, unfortunately. I'll be doing fully remote learning with no hybrid schedule. Initially, our school was planning to do hybrid learning, but due to the rising cases in my state, unfortunately, we only have to do remote learning. So yes, I had remote learning for the half of second semester from around March through May, and it wasn't the greatest experience. I mean, there were definitely some benefits to remote learning, such as I was able to get up at later times, wear my pajamas to class, able to eat during class. You know, I was a more relaxed environment than the relatively stressful environment we have within classrooms. However, I was not motivated at all to learn. I had my phone with me. I was always on my phone. I just didn't want to engage in class and participate at the levels I would if I were in school. So it was an interesting experience, and I'm glad we got that experience before this experience of going into a whole semester with remote learning, because we had some sort of a warm-up period where we could actually learn how this is going to work before we really get into remote learning and having the fully graded environment where everything matters, unlike how it was before. So yeah, it was an interesting experience. The thing I miss most about school, as we had it for our whole lives basically, is the social aspect of our learning. I feel that the relationships we develop through school, you know, in a normal environment, is so crucial for our learning, because learning isn't all about textbooks and reading and writing. It's about making relationships, learning how to developing our human abilities and human skills, the ability to communicate with the others, the ability to make friends, relationships. It's so crucial, and we're really missing out on that because of not having school as it normally is. So I definitely miss just, you know, walking through the halls, seeing my friend, just saying hi, giving each other a handshake during lunch, arguing with our friends about sports at the lunch table, for gym class, playing basketball. You know, it was not only a great way to get exercise, but also you're able to meet new people, learn who's good and bad. Like, just, you know, overall, having relationships with people is what I will miss most about school as we had it in the past. As a student, this situation has really taught me to make the most of what we're given. You know, during school we take it for granted, the teachers, the atmosphere, the learning environment, the tutors we have, the books we have in the library, the iPads we receive with apps that help us learn. I feel we should just all be appreciative of what we're given, because it can all be taken away, and then we long for the things that made our learning so much easier. So as a student, always do well with what you're given. Right now, I'm going to be put into a remote learning environment, and I'm going to do the best I can in this environment, because that's what you need to do as a student to maximize your learning and get the best out of your school experiences, to just appreciate what you're given and do the best with what you're given. And with that, I would like to conclude COVID Chats with Raghav Khosla, High School Edition. I hope this video is able to open your eyes on how unique everyone's situation is as school restarts. If you learned something new in this video, please leave a like down below and comment what it was you learned. Also, if you're new on this channel, subscribe if you want to see videos similar to this, but also future videos which include food reviews and sports related videos. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for your time.